This podcast is intended for adults only. We do not condone the use of any illegal substances, and anything we consume is for educational purposes only.
Because, we should be afraid of a plant that grows from the ground. And, endocannabinoid system is, it's in your body and it produces cannabinoids. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna rant. Just play the music, Mitch.
You see in the room, just look up once and you can find us. Our song should have more plays, but we too though, they rewind us. All my talk is lined up, every day my girl get fined up. All my clothes is local, bitch, I really write designer.
Let's go, gang, highest in the room, yo, we get fucked up. Hey, you can count on Trey, can't bring the loud pack.
What's up, everyone? You're listening to the Canna podcast, where we are cultivating conversation concerning cannabis, culture, and creativity. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Mitch Narito.
And I am Erick Esteban, the master of the Buddha Lounge. No, man, I'm so excited about what's going on in the Buddha Lounge right now.
What's going on in the Buddha Lounge?
Well, we've got the Perpetual grow fully set up because I've already cloned all the genetics that we harvested currently. So I'm talking about the Jack Herrera, I'm talking about the DJ Short Blueberry.
Yep.
And we got the Strawberry Cough and the Jedi Cookies. And we've got all of it. Well, the Jedi Cookies and the Jack Herrera and the DJ Short Blueberry are all in like week 4 or 5 of flower. So by mid-January, we'll be harvesting. So that'll be the New Year harvest. I think I have harvesting almost every week scheduled for the month of January. Which is going to be kind of crazy.
That's good.
So there'll be some more new Jack, and then there'll be some new Jedi Cookies, and then there'll be a whole tent of DJ Short Blueberry, which I'm excited about because not to say that I think I dropped the ball on the first plant of DJ Short Blueberry, because let's just be real, that was nurtured from a little clipping of a clone that was dying. So the fact that I saved it and now I have a whole tent of it is kind of cool. But I think the first harvest, I trimmed it a little too early because that stuff is moist.
It's very sticky.
It's very, very sticky. But at the same time, I re-listened to one of the podcasts, shout out to Dude Grows podcast, where they interviewed the great DJ Short, the guy who actually originated the strain. And he talked about how his cure was about 6 months. So if he grows really moist, dense, hard-hitting weed, and you have to at least cure it for a few months for it to be at premium smoking quality, well, then I guess I'm just going to have to wait on this jar and let it cure for a little while, and maybe we won't smoke it until 420. Who knows?
No, it's very fresh. You got to give it a little more time, definitely.
Yeah.
But then you didn't even mention you still have Pineapple OG jelly donuts. Is there anything else?
Yeah, those are the auto flowers that are like the add-ons, which are also like Pineapple OG will probably be ready also around January because I planted that in October, and then the jelly donuts, they won't be ready until probably March, but or maybe end of February. But either way, we've got perpetual harvests every month planned for next year, and we'll be trimming. And I'll probably be in trim jail every morning for the foreseeable future. But it's good, man. I mean it. And what's really great about what we have set up now is we've got the 2 Spider Farmer tents, set up the 2x4 tents basically, and then I've got the 4 15-gallon pots that are just set up like house plants right outside, right out on the window of the Buddha Lounge, because the Buddha Lounge is basically a greenhouse. Like you even notice, like, oh, it's a little bit warmer in here, which is true because it's like a greenhouse would, and which is kind of like the subject of the podcast that we want, because we're starting to think about expanding the grow here at the Buddha Lounge. And Mitch was talking about where we might invest into a greenhouse. Speaking of which, because the Buddha Lounge in and of itself is kind of a greenhouse, but an actual greenhouse would probably double, if not triple, our growing capacity.
So that's a lot of plants.
That's a lot of plants. So we already have more than we can handle, which is why I wanted to talk about it with you on the podcast, because we already have a lot of weed. We have enough that we're not gonna want for weed for a while.
Yeah.
And so, do we really want to expand yet?
That's on you, man, because it's your space. Like I
want to expand just to be able to grow in the greenhouse. That's my seeing the difference between how sun grown, where the actual sun is what your source of light for the flowering versus a fluorescent bulb or LED lamp. I don't know, man. I'm excited to grow in the greenhouse.
Well, okay. My main thing is, like, if you were going to expand into the greenhouse, it would be because you want your plants to have a little more space, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, in the tents, they're all kind of bunched up together. They're all touching and everything. Like, I don't know if that's good or bad for a plant.
I think, well, because plants, it's not like, when they're growing the wild, it's not like they're perfectly placed together, and in some cases, like when they talk about growing in soil beds, like those soil beds, because they make beds of soil where you can just have it be the bottom of your tent, right? And where they say that there's they like the community where the roots communicate with each other in a bed of cannabis plants. So I don't think the proximity is necessarily the only thing you have to worry about. Really, is when bigger leaves are blocking growing buds.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you would have more space to
totally.
Figure it out. Because I've seen grow videos, where the people, they have their setup or whatever, and then the plants are pretty far apart. You could walk in between plants. You could get 360 views. That's how they do it.
Totally.
If that's something you want, then I would say, you could go for it, because you could really be amongst the plants.
Oh, that would be cool.
Right? That would be a pro. There are cons, right? It's a new environment that you would have to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was watching a lot of videos on greenhouses in general, and you still need to figure out a power source, because you still need to have the air circulate, because you can't rely on the wind.
Yeah.
Because the wind, if you open, there may be a ceiling vent or something, but then that allows for the same reason why I would want, the only reason I wouldn't just grow these outdoors in my backyard first is because it's not allowed in where I live, but also it's open to the animals.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, a bird got into the Buddha Lounge just this morning, for goodness sakes. Birds getting into my house always freak me out. Because I watched Hitchcock movies when I was a kid, and the Birds movie really kind of made me scared of birds.
I don't really get scared of birds unless they're in groups.
Well, even the one solitary bird that got into my house freaked me out. I was probably a little...
Nah, see, I don't get freaked out by birds. I think the only birds that would freak me out are the birds of prey. You got owls, you got hawks, the ones that
Oh, there's hawks in this area.
Oh yeah.
And they they're since I have all the different foliage and fruit and all that stuff growing, all the animals have come, and I've seen hawks perched on my fence, and the raccoons are here, and but that's why I would want a greenhouse, because I wouldn't just grow our favorite plant, but I'd also grow strawberries and tomatoes and stuff in there that that I've been wanting to grow, but the squirrels always eat.
Oh yeah, you can use it for that too. So that's more space. Cons would be, if you do have plants in there, like you said, you would have to find a power source. I don't know what
There's an outlet there.
But I mean, you're running power. You got your power in your house. You've got your power to whatever setup you have now. That's more power, that you're going to need. I don't know, what does your place, do you blow fuses often? Or does power go out?
The only things that would run in there would be two small fans on the lower portion.
But even that could, because I know I have really old wiring in my apartment, and I have a microwave and I have an air fryer, and if they're both on at the same time, it'll short everything out.
No, I feel you, and I've blown there's a circuit breaker here in the house, and it's very old. and that's where the Buddha Lounge is. All the electricity is run through that old circuit breaker, so it does blow the fuse sometimes. So I do believe that the outlet that the greenhouse would use and I would utilize for the greenhouse is on the main circuit breaker of the house, because it's attached to the main part of the house. So I would probably do that.
Yeah, there's just something to...
It's all the stuff. It's even where I'm going to put it in the backyard and all the different placement of where it is. There's a lot to going into buying a greenhouse and upgrading to that. But I've kind of done that, so I think we're ready to do it. But also, I don't know whether I was going to. The plan was to take those 15-gallon pots that we now have in the Buddha Lounge, just being in the greenhouse in the Buddha Lounge, and I want to move them.
Yeah, but you're having issues now because they're starting to get loud.
Yeah, a little bit. My wife was saying that we need to figure out a way to filter out the smell, because my wife is not a fan of the smell. Yeah, no matter what. So. We definitely have to figure out. That's stuff to figure out. But at the same time, I don't want to stop growing in that spot. It's a nice little spot for the plants, and I like it. I like watching the plants. When I'm in there with the tents, once you close up the tents, the ideal environment for the tents is to not
just be in the dark.
Whether the lights are on or off, the ideal environment for the tent is for the plants not to be disturbed. You just keep the tent closed. That's why they have those Velcro flaps, because I just don't use those, because
you just like to get in there.
I like to get in there, but I also don't like to get in there. Like I'm not in there nearly as much as I was before. Like when I first started growing, I would just want to, you'd almost be like sitting there waiting for something to change, and you're not going to ever physically see. Well, I mean, sometimes you do, but I'm always in there checking on them. I checking on them every day, but I'm not in there just sitting in front of them like it's my TV, and I'm looking at them and studying them, and it doesn't occupy all my day now. Now I'm just planning for the next couple of days. Okay, what do I got to do? All right, cool. Now let me make sure that I have all that stuff, and I know I got to order more soil because I got to up-pot these plants and I just ran out of soil. So I got to go get some more soil. But other than that, those are my expenses now. I didn't go to the dispenser anymore, but I still spend, hundreds of dollars on soil, for goodness sakes.
That's not bad though, because you're not doing it with the frequency you're.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not buying Pro Mix HP the way I was going to the dispensary. Yeah. That's for sure.
I need some soil, man.
But yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I just because so we're talking about we're talking about the smell. Funny enough, my wife, I wouldn't say she doesn't hate the smell. She doesn't.
Well, she smokes every now and again, right?
No, she doesn't. Not anymore? She's
tried it, right?
She's tried it around me when we first started dating, because she just she was really trying to come off as cool. And then she realized that I smoke like that, and she was like, "No, I can't do that. I can't keep up." So. But yeah, she we've had a couple experiences, but she doesn't react well to weed. She's not the type that likes it,
Sure. And like my wife and like my father and like most folks, maybe their endocannabinoid system is working properly, and they don't need to supplement it with anything exterior. Whereas my shit is probably broke, and I need.
No, for sure, for sure. Her her experiences are really intense. She has I think I shared the story. One time we went to Disneyland, we had edibles, and she only had 5 milligrams. But when it hit, she kind of had a bad trip, and
a mushroom experience almost.
Yeah, she had a really strong experience, and we were in Disneyland, and we had to sit on a bench for 2 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You're at Disneyland and you sat on a bench for 2 hours?
Yeah, so we were just people. I was just people watching, because
I mean that's cool. I mean, and it's also that's good of you to be able to just chill with your wife on a bench for 2 hours.
Well, I mean, what else about she was
paranoid.
Yeah, she was freaking out. I'm not gonna just leave her. Yeah. Hey, just chill out here. I'm just gonna go ride Guardians of the Galaxy real quick.
Well, that's what I would have done. I mean, I'm not an asshole, but at the same time, if my wife was tripping on some weed, I'd make sure that she'd be tripping enough to where I know she'd stay where I put her, and then I'd go wait.
No, like my wife was terrible. She's like, "Don't leave me alone." You know, like,
no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I would not leave my wife, and I sure wouldn't give my wife weed with my kids around, just because. The one time I did, you've heard this story though already before, and I probably told it on the podcast before. But when I gave my wife weed, we just smoked. We shared a bowl.
Yeah.
And I smoked first, just to kind of show her how to do it, and then she smoked a little bit of it, and she was like. And then, you start to get the effects a little bit. You start to feel a little stoned. And then she was like, I don't understand why people do this. That's exactly that was the first thing that she said after she started feeling stoned. And she did not ever want to be stoned ever again.
Yeah.
And hey, cool. More weed for me.
Yeah. Like, for my wife, she doesn't hate the smell of it, but she doesn't mind it. She's like, at least it's not cigarettes.
Well, you've been sharing with me some of your smell hiding and masking tactics that I was very interested in. You got a lot of good home remedies to hiding your sense of weed.
And thank you for tying it all back together, because I'm a little rambly.
Well, because that strawberry cough got both of us rambling.
It's very chill.
The strawberry cough is a very chill and good.
It's a creeper.
Yeah, it's a creeper, but it's also it's also nice day weed, almost afternoon weed, I would say, because Jack Herrera is like that nice morning weed.
Yeah.
That gets you up and you can go drink with your coffee, and then the strawberry cough is like that afternoon weed, and then you can either smoke the blueberry. Or we did have some Jedi cookies, but that shit went quick.
Yeah, no, I've been smoking the strawberry cough when I get home, just to chill out. It's nice. Like, it doesn't want to put me to sleep. Like, I don't want to knock out. Like
right.
But it is like a very. I think I mentioned it last time. It's a very mellow body high.
Yeah.
But going back to our scent hacks, right?
Yeah. You were telling me that, like, because to be honest, man, I'm not feeling spending another. I mean, I'm going to buy more carbon filters for the tents, but I don't. That's one thing for the greenhouse that we kind of got to think about, because those plants are going to be bigger in the greenhouse, because they're going to be in bigger pots, and so they're going to be bigger and taller, and so they're going to reach the ceiling probably of that greenhouse, and that those scents are going to emanate all throughout my neighborhood. So I got to figure out a way to either mask it and or do something to not draw so much attention to the backyard.
Yeah, like it just makes me think about, like, I think we've talked about it before, like back in college, like the homies would like smoke in the dorm rooms or whatever, and then they'd blow it out of a paper towel roll, and then
they have that with the fabric softener sheet inside,
like with a Febreze sheet attached to the front.
Well, that's one of Kuyas' tips is when you rent a car, is if you smoke in the rental cars, you put a bunch of dryer sheets in the back seat.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last night. And then I told you, it's like, you don't even have to do that. You just get in the car, and then when you're driving away, you just call the car company and just like, hey, I didn't notice this until I left, but I don't want to deal with it. But my car does smell like marijuana, so I just don't want to get dinged for it, but I don't want to come back and trade the car.
Yeah, so better make a note. Make a note. And if you report it from the beginning, hey, where that smell came from, you never know.
Yeah. But yeah, okay.
Then you can put more of the smell into the car.
Hey, like, what else? Like, if you're in like a hotel room and you're like, like you disable the smoke alarms, or you throw like a wet towel over it or whatever, like you stick a wet towel or like in between the crevice of the door, so it doesn't get out. It's like all those stuff. But like, in terms of smell hacks, like I've tried a lot of different things. Like one of my buddies, he uses like, because he smokes in his car, he uses a car diffuser. Like he has like a plug-in car diffuser, like for essential oils. And like he'll use that when he's in his car.
Have you seen the ads for those like fans that you blow into and it sucks up all the thing?
I've seen those. So like I have filters, right? Like my buddies, they use like regular air filters. To clean the air, and they work, but it doesn't necessarily get rid of the smell or mask the smell. it'll clean the air so it's not as like
prominent.
Yeah, but like you can, you can definitely be like, oh, that still smells like.
They're so yeah.
Yeah, that's a dank smell. Yeah.
Well, see, and I am very not sensitive to the smell. Like I can't really, especially if I've smoked. Like it almost dissipates my ability to smell it when I've smoked, and it's only after I haven't smoked for a long time. And this is just the way my nose works. This is just neither here nor there. But for me, I can't really smell it, even if it's danky dank. Like I can, like in the case of like a Jedi cookies, I could smell that piney, hardcore indica smell that I associate with Jedi cookies and I associate with Skywalker, which is why I grew it out in the first place. But in the case of like strawberry cough or in the case of Jack Herer, like those sweeter smells, I can smell them, but part of it is when I smoke, my respiratory system doesn't allow for my scent to come back.
No, but I think as someone who consumes cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Like, I always find it funny that people who smoke weed will always smell it in the air anywhere. Like you could be out in public, right? And then someone passes by, it's like, that's weed.
That smells pretty good.
That's weed. That.
You know what's great? That, speaking of which, so our gig that we're doing with the LA Auto Show, shout out to Terry, but shout out to Chris and Chris Benito, the Food Network barbecue chef that we're going to be working with on that night. But also, when I met Chris, I was smoking a Baby Jeter's, I can't remember the strain it was, but I remember him sniffing the air and be like, someone's smoking la 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 la, and I was like, oh, that's me. And he's like, oh, you were really funny. And then we connected, and that's how we sparked our friendship, was his recognition of whatever the fuck I was smoking by the scent alone. He could smell it and know what strain it was.
No, like I can see that, like because Jeters do have a specific like smell, because they use like that artificial flavoring too,
and the keef.
Yeah. So you could tell, and it's like the same concept. Like like if you had any friends that like smoke cigarettes, you could tell like, oh, that dude's smoking a menthol, or that dude's smoking like an Old Spirit or like a Camel. Or
you
whatever.
think?
No, it like you could tell.
Well, yeah, I remember smoking when people more people smoked menthols. You could definitely smell that menthol in there.
Yeah, you know what it is. So it's like for weed, it's kind of the same thing. Like, like whenever I'm out in public and like I just like, or it's really bad when I'm in class, right? Like when I'm teaching,
sure,
I will pass by certain students and I'm just like, fuck, man, like you guys are loud, like you guys smell, like, and I got to tell them, it's like I have to like give blanket statements. I'm like, students, just a reminder, don't come to class in a different state of mind, like come to learn, like I have to be like that, like.
But some people, they learn better when they're in that state of mind.
Oh my God, that's the same. You sound exactly like my students. Like,
well, because I was one of those students.
No, I straight up. So like these two younger dudes came into the office to register for classes, right? Uh-huh. And like as I'm asking them questions, I'm looking at them, and this dude's not looking at me at all, right? I'm looking at him dead in the eyes, but this he's just not there, right? Yeah. Like you can tell his eyes are all like bloodshot, and like he's answering questions, but he had he was dead eye, he was just like,
so he couldn't handle his weed.
Yeah, and then like his buddy that was with him, he was just giggling at everything, right? Because he was just like, oh man, I didn't expect to like have to answer questions, right? And then after I registered them, like I gave them their classes. I'm like, hey, you got to come back on this day, whatever. And I was like, I told them in Spanish, I was like, hey, don't smoke before class, right? And then they just started laughing, and one of them was like, but it helps me focus. I'm like, no.
It helps me focus.
I'm like, no, don't go to class like that.
Well, I've been to every acting and comedy and improv class I've been to in my life, I feel like. I can't remember a time. Well, I think maybe when I first started acting, I probably didn't smoke before class. But then as I got into it and I started knowing the craft and knowing what I'm doing, yeah, probably before every class.
No, see, and that I have that too. Like,
do you smoke before your acting class?
I have a very I try to be professional with it sometimes. It just depends on how I'm feeling, honestly. But like,
well, you don't walk into the class emanating smelling of weed.
No, I sometimes I do.
Oh, okay.
Like it just depends. It just depends on what I'm bringing in, what I'm doing that day, right? Like,
well, that's nice. That's cool.
But I'm careful with it because I just don't want it to turn into like I need it to perform. You know what I mean? You know how some people are like that. Like I can't, like some comedians, they can't do comedy unless they're plastered, right? Like
no, and yeah, I mean we've done enough shows for you to know that for the most part, if I'm not smoking like an hour before the show, and then you got the show, and then you got so much time between we're not smoking in the green room.
Yeah.
In most cases, or in any other in the back room, because it's just different. Maybe in the 80s and 90s that would have been a thing, but that's not a thing anymore.
But yeah, it's the same deal.
You
like
go smoke in the parking lot and be respectful, but you do that before or after the show.
Sometimes I'll do that. I'll smoke or I'll take a shot or whatever. Like kind of take an edge off just to relax a little bit if I'm feeling the nerves a little bit.
Of course,
but I have to be careful because there have been times when I smoke too much or I drink too much and I'm really bad.
Well, see, and I can smoke whatever you need, whatever. I could smoke as much as you want before a show. What I can't do before a show is drink. Yeah. I will not take a drink before the show because it will drain my energy. Oh. Because at this point now in my life, like alcohol is only there for me at night when and if I don't have or if I have trouble sleeping. That's kind of where I'm at with alcohol at this point.
Okay. Oh, well, okay. All right. Anyway, so we're going off topic a little bit.
No, not really, but at the same time, like, a lot of it is we were talking about hiding and home remedies for hiding the scent of weed.
How to get away with it.
But also expanding our grow. I mean, we're talking about a lot of stuff here in this episode, but there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about because there's a lot happening in, like, the podcast because we're growing big time. Like we got stickers.
Yeah.
I mean, the stickers are fire.
Yeah, they're nice. I like.
I mean, like you will get a free sticker or maybe a couple of stickers with each of your T-shirt orders if you want. And we're going to extend that Black Friday sale all the way through until the end of the year. You get 3 T-shirts for $50 if you hit us up on DMs, or you go to the 12productions.com. 12 Productions, ONETOO Productions, all one word. 12 Productions. You're ruining the audio because you're laughing over my spelling because I can't fucking spell because I hesitate every time.
The fear in your eyes, though.
Every time. Every time I gotta spell out loud, man, I go right back to like 5th grade where I couldn't spell some fucking word, and yeah.
But the fear, like it was real. Like it was just like the first letter. It was like oh. Like,
I hate spelling out loud, bro.
Okay, anyway, but let's go back.
I could do an hour of comedy in front of thousands of people, but I cannot spell. Don't ask me to spell my fucking name.
Okay, so let's go back to. So we're trying to hide scents, right? So typically in the past, how have you tried to hide or mask scents?
I usually don't.
You don't?
No, I remember one time I was in a hotel with my family. It was for my sister's wedding, and we're at a fancy hotel in LA. And I was smoking on the balcony. I was smoking a joint because it was my birthday, and I was smoking a joint on the balcony of this beautiful hotel room that we had. And then my dad walked in, and then I just put the joint out on the balcony, and I went back in the room, but the smell was in the whole fucking room.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Dad." I'm not sure.
Just bald.
I just bald face. Like how Eddie Murphy that joke in Delirious where it's like, "Why did you fuck that lady?" It wasn't me. That same thing. I don't know.
Just deny.
I just total denial. Even like, but then my wife has a ridiculous sense of smell. to the point where like I don't smoke in the house, like I don't, because she'll be like, "Did you at 11:34 a.m. did you smoke a joint in the house?" Because I feel like you did, and because I feel like it was 11:34 a.m. in the morning that you smoked the joint in the house. Like she had that accurate of a nose and a sense of smell that I don't smoke in the house at all. But you see how we are. We smoke at the Buddha Lounge, and it's fine. It doesn't smell. It doesn't smell at all in here.
Yeah, no, like so. Okay, so traditionally in the past, like dryer sheets have always been good.
Yeah, you have the dryer sheets with the toilet.
Well, not just that, but
the dryer sheets to hide. Just in general, they are a godsend because they absorb scent. Period. That's the job.
But so what I would do is like I have my like back in the day I would have my like smoke kit. Like this was before like I discovered smell-proof bags. I would use straight up Tupperwares, like airtight containers. I'd use Tupperwares. I'd put all my weed in there, my pipe, and then I'd put like a couple dryer sheets, and then that'd be pretty good. But smoking itself, it didn't help. Like once
you smoke, it hides when you store weed. It's fine, but once you light it on fire, that scent is hard to hide. I've
tried filters. Filters never work. Filters are not gonna work.
And I don't think that fan that they've been algorithm advertising to me on
the little
Instagram,
tiny one.
That little tiny one, when they be blowing the whole big wafts of smoke into it and it'd be sucking it. No, I'm sure
that's
that shit
bullshit. Because for one, it's sucking it in, but it's not.
Where's it gonna go? To the filter in the back of the fan, and then what? So
it doesn't show you.
It's still gonna smell.
Yeah, it's still gonna smell. But. So after the act, you can't really do it. So the best is to mask it or to hide it or to eliminate it, right? So I've used so for elimination purposes, there's like sprays that are out there that smokers use. Like there was one that I used to use back in the day. They used to sell it at AutoZone, right? It was called Ozium.
Okay.
And it was made for smokers. It was just a spray. Right,
now is this harmful in any way, or
it's chemical, so it's not great.
Okay, so
but it's like you would spray it into
the air. I'd probably
prefer
to do some incense because that's what I would do back in the day.
Incense works. Works.
I like incense very much. The only problem with incense is, guess what? My wife doesn't like the smell of cannabis. She also doesn't like the smell of incense.
Well, it's just more smoke. You're just putting smoke on top of smoke.
Yes, but I like the smell of incense.
Palo Santo.
Yeah, dude, I like all that stuff. I like all kinds of incense. I think most potheads like incense.
No, but that's
there's a soothing nature to incense, even in just smelling it in the air. If I smell incense in the air, I know I'm in a good spot.
Well, it's like a very hippie thing too.
Well, I guess that I'm fully on. I'm full on hippie.
It's on brand for you. But yeah, no, there's sprays like there'd be that I would use Febreze spray.
Febreze works good.
But again, chemical. Right?
Yeah, Febreze works good, especially. I've used Febreze when I rented a car. Yeah. And then stunk it up to be damned.
If you're gonna go, if you don't want something as chemical, I mean it's still chemical, but what I would use, what I used to use, and I'll use a little bit of it now, like body sprays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for especially for when you smoke and then you come back into a place where you're not supposed to be smoking, and you got to use a body spray to kind of cover up the smoke that you. But then did you kind of smell like Axe body spray?
Yeah,
and
I would
weed?
smell like Axe. I would smell like Axe or like Old Spice
and weed.
Not necessarily weed, but people would be like, oh, he like that smell, like they would figure it out and they would associate I smoked with that smell. They didn't necessarily smell smoke, but they're like, oh, you smell like prime time or whatever. You smoke so weird right now, so that didn't work. Colognes only mask
colognes don't do anything. Yeah, and colognes, the problem with colognes, especially, it's just I never know how much to spray.
It's just like one or two spritz.
Nah, because I come from back in the day when you would buy
Chico and Cool Water.
No, Drakkar Noir, bro. That was the hit. But I would spray that bitch on everything. I'd spray it on my hair. I'd spray that shit on my dick. I'd spray Drakkar Noir everywhere. And the finest girl with the nicest ass my freshman year of high school, Carrie Malone, she was like, "Is that Drakkar Noir you're wearing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And we went out for 2 weeks. I feel like just because of Drakkar Noir.
Just because of Drakkar?
Just because of Drakkar. That is the power of Drakkar Noir. Like, I'm thinking about figuring out if I can buy a bottle of old school Drakkar Noir, and I'm going to start wearing that shit again.
At this point. Like,
well, no, but I feel like they still make it. They would. That's an iconic scent.
Maybe, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure.
I feel like you could find like
a dupe or something.
Like some kind of dupe of what Drakkar Noir used to smell like, because that shit, that's the essence of the 90s right there, is Drakkar Noir.
Okay, so what else? Carbon filters. I've tried carbon filters or carbon packets.
Well, we have the carbon filters in the tents right now, and I'm gonna replace them because they're what, 2 years old now. So
yeah, I feel like those, but like for like a regular, like those are not practical, right? Like,
no, yeah, go ahead.
No, you can have like carbon packets or whatever to help absorb stuff, but it's not really like they don't really.
No, and unless you have the inline fan and running into the carbon filter for a tent, and it's an enclosed space where that's the air, and you're trying to that you can mask that with your plants. But in as far as like a greenhouse, I don't know how. That's my only hesitation, because that's where we would flower. The greenhouse would be where we would flower. So we were talking about possible solutions to the sense of the greenhouse. So what were you thinking?
And so, like, in terms of like what has worked for me and what I know is effective, I was telling Eric, get baking soda. Like, baking soda absorbs a lot of odors. Like, that's why you put it in your fridge. You put it in your gym bag or whatever, right? But like, you just get some baking soda. If you're using it for your car, they sell like baking soda like balls, right? Like, you just throw them in the corners of your car. I was telling Eric, if we're gonna get a greenhouse, or if he's gonna continue going in the Buddha Lounge, just buy like a big ass bag of baking soda, because like I think like a 20-pound bag or something is like $18. So you could just get that, open it up. You could pour it into another container, or you could just straight up just leave the bag there. It'll still absorb odors. So, and like, it just ends up smelling like laundry.
Yeah. I think that's a good look, is to have, because I have plastic jugs that I use for the water, and as I run either fish fertilizer or recharge or any one of the other compost teas that I use, like, they get nasty and dirty, and after a while I gotta like toss them.
It'll absorb all of those odors.
But what I'm saying is, I can cut those and then put the baking soda in, like the older ones that I'm gonna not use anymore. Yeah. I can cut those, or even double them up, and then use those as the buckets for the baking soda, and then just put them in the corners of the room to absorb the odor.
And then every so often you just mix it up, just so you get like some fresh.
Sure.
Like. Yeah,
because it's going to the surface of the baking soda and absorbing the odor.
But it works really well. Like anytime I've put like the baking soda in my car, like my car, it just smells like laundry detergent. So.
And especially in smaller enclosed spaces like a greenhouse or another place. And if I'm not mistaken, does baking soda, does that emit CO2 at all, or no?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, well that's another thing that I'm thinking about too, is supplementing the grow, is buying some more, because the one thing about some of my first grows where I got really big plants was when I supplemented with mushroom bags inside the tents. And then the CO2 was like, there was a little extra CO2 in there for the plants to take up, and those plants were really big. Now that I'm, the soil is the right with rooted leaf, now that, the environment is pretty much the ideal growing environment for the next kind of 4 to 6 months, I think I might do a little bit boost and do some of that. But I want to kind of, because we're getting to a point at Christmas time, right, where you start either setting up for your new year, mm-hmm. right? Whereas what I'm doing right now, I've got I've got harvest ready, set for January, and but also you want to pick out. We're going to pick out new genetics, and that's what I want to talk about next episode.
Okay.
Is like figuring out and finding if we want to buy some more clones from Buds and Roses, or if we want to get some seeds and start from seed, because I know that there's a few things. Like I just shout out to Caviar Genetic. Is it Caviar? Cartier Genetics. Sorry. No, I knew it was a C. It was a fancy C word, but Cartier Genetics. I was just researching their website because he was just on Mr. Grow It, and I'm looking at all his genetics and some of the stuff. Looking at some of these smaller breeders, I kind of want to grow out some of their stuff. Like I know one of your favorite. I'm always on the lookout for Grape Ape, or something with Grape Ape, or some lineage of Grape Ape in there, and so he has a few things from that he bred with Grape Ape.
Cardi B genetics.
Cartier.
These Cadillac genetics.
Whatever. Shout out. I'll leave a link, and actually, I'm gonna reach out to him on Instagram and see if maybe he might want to be on the podcast, because I'd love to talk to him about, because he has developed a bunch of his own strains, but he does it on a very small scale where he's breeding, smaller numbers of plants and then just putting them together. He's not doing huge, big, warehouse style grows where he's looking for the ultimate plant, but he's still able to find really great genetics. And
so if you're out there listening, the owner of Corned Beef Genetics, we want you on our podcast.
Man, you know what? I'm going to look at my email so that I can actually get it right. Jesus Christ, because this fool called him Corned Beef Genetics, and I wouldn't mind getting like corned beef can strain for the Canna Kuyas. That'd be a cool ass.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, Cartier crops.
Okay.
Cartier crops, and he was just recently. I think it's Mr. Grow It's most recent episode. He was just interviewed with a great interview, and he talked about breeding and starting out breeding, and I mean that's been the goal for me since I started growing, is to have my own personal strain. And to kind of wrap up the episode and kind of circle back to what we were talking about at the beginning, strawberry cough. After I trimmed it all, and how you have the trim trays, and I do all the keef, and I do all the nice homemade baby Jeters, and and now we have the Barrel Men cigarros, of course, covered in keef, an ounce of weed. Or not an ounce.
An ounce of Jesus.
No, it's an eighth. It's an eighth of weed, ground up and rolled up into a hemp wrap, blunt wrap, and then surrounded by that weed's keef. It's a pretty nice. It's a wonderful smoking experience.
I've seen people do that though. Like they'll use ounces and like they'll just straight burn the entire ounce.
Well, every time I smoke a cigar, I really do feel like I'm wasting weed, because I'm literally smoking a whole, like what used to be a budget of what I used to smoke for 4 or 5 days, and I'm smoking it in 20 minutes. And yes, it's gluttonous and debaucherous, but it's also a wonderful smoking experience. But that said, what I was going to say is that I totally lost my train of thought because I started thinking about the cigarros. But no, just to wrap it up, we have strawberry cough seeds from when I was trimming them.
Oh,
there's probably like a dozen seeds, so I'm guessing there was maybe one bud of herm, or maybe one of the bottom buds germinated, or who knows what happened.
You can try them out.
Oh, I'm definitely going to pop them. I'm definitely going to put them on and pop them and see, because if we get a male strawberry cough, now our breeding projects begin, because why not? Now you just practice and figure it out, and if we get a greenhouse, now you dedicate a little corner of the greenhouse to put your male and female plants together, and now you got your little breeding area outside.
My allergies are gonna go crazy.
Yeah, because the pollen will be right straight to your nose.
It's just gonna be right there.
Mitch is gonna get all crazy and start sniffing pollen when we start breeding.
Pollen!
Mustard!
Still been listening to that album.
That's all. It's been on repeat the whole time, and I feel like, okay, here, you know what? If there's anything to bet on, it'll be what song from GNX will be the first song on Kendrick's Super Bowl performance.
The first one?
I feel like he comes on to the fucking thing screaming mustard. That would be fucking cool.
No, it's probably gonna be Squabble Up.
Yeah, was Squabble Up? You think? Because Squabble Up or, and will he do all of Not Like Us? Like, will he call Drake a pedophile on global television?
Oh hell yeah, he will.
Oh, that's gonna be so.
He's gonna, like, I guarantee he'll have that, right?
Will he do it 3 times?
It's just gonna be the
whole show. Is it just Not Like Us 3 times for 30 minutes?
No, but he'll probably do, like, I'm assuming he'll probably do Squabble Up, right? He'll probably bring on SZA.
Yeah,
just because like, just another, like, Drake, you never brought her up,
and also SZA and him are going on tour, so
yeah. That's why. So he's gonna probably bring SZA.
Here's your Canna cultural moment of the thing, because I screamed mustard, and now all we can talk about is Kendrick.
Have you seen the Heinz ads?
Yes. Well, and are they AI or what?
No, they're real. Heinz.
Well, there's some weird shit AI stuff where they got Kendrick doing weird shit with mustard, and it's a little disturbing what AI can already do.
No, but like, it was it's straight up, like, it's just it's a Heinz bottle of mustard, and it just has mustard, like, it's just screamed, like, it's in yellow font in the background. Like, it's so simple, but it's.
But that, I mean, you got college bands playing that song already. I mean, he got another hit off of GNX, but also every track on that. If you guys haven't heard it, it is a wonderful album to smoke weed to. And to be honest, I have to share this. This is a great way to end the podcast, because when I was trimming the strawberry cough and discovering those little seeds, and obviously smoking along the way and sampling the strawberry cough, the album that I had on repeat, because that's when it coincided, was when he dropped GNX, and all I did was just listen to GNX over and over and over again as I trimmed the strawberry cough, and it made the trimming process go by so quickly. But by the end of it, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty well versed. I pretty memorized all the rhymes. But that is a great album, and it is a great album to smoke to. So
hey, Drake, sue some more people. Come on, dog.
Oh my God, what a little bitch.
All right, everybody.
I feel bad for liking So Far Gone. He is that much of a bitch. That's where I'm at now with him. Like, I regret liking some of the stuff that I used to like with Drake, with the bitch mode that he has acted at the end of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, like,
I mean, once you involve lawsuits and shit, you've gone fully bitch mode.
You've lost. You've completely lost.
Yeah,
but anyways, like, you've been listening to the Canna podcast. Just in case you guys haven't yet, please like, subscribe, share us.
Follow us on Apple iTunes, on Spotify. Please leave us a review. We've been begging for reviews, because that's really the only way to break the algorithm, especially with podcasts, is if you guys leave us a review, if you share us on your threads, on your Blue Sky, or and follow us on all those things. Like Mitch, you're at Mitch Narito on most things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm at Erick Esteban Comedy on most things. So follow us, follow the podcast on Instagram. That's really the only social network we have, and our website, 12 Productions. I'm gonna let Mitch spell it so that I don't have the. Okay, it's okay. It's ONETOO Productions, 12productions.com. Go there.
There you go.
Mitch is breaking me of my stigma of not being able to spell out loud. And this has been the Canna podcast,
where we are cultivating conversations concerning cannabis, culture, and creativity. I'm Mitch Narito.
And I am Erick Esteban.
To all our marijuana ates and Canna Kuyas, stay lifted,
stay elevated. Peace, y'all. See you next week, or hear you next week. Or you know what? We should start doing video too. So maybe see you next week. Who knows?
Mustard.
Dun, 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 dun.
I got my hoodie on, now peep the chest as human catalyst. Downtown Chula Vista, on 3rd Ave where I go cop some shit. Fuck a thief, so fuck zoomies. Yeah, they whack ass jacket shit. Yeah, I move too swift, so I'm striking silence. Fuck the violence, man, check my mileage, cause I got drive. First tour, I drove 6 states, never thought I'd be there right by my side, man. What a time it is to be alive. See, I'm charged up, feeling energized, building enterprise, move supersize. Y'all lecture like a side of fries. Whoa, false guys who you idolize. Yeah, go against us, I would not advise. We the highest in the room, just look up once and you can find us. us. Our song should have more plays, but we too dope, they rewind us. All my targets lined up, every day my girl get fined up. All my clothes is local, bitch, I really ride designer.
Gang, highest in the room, yo, we get fucked up. You can count on Trey Cap, bring the loud pack. Get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home run. Yeah, keep the up or leave the fuck a Folgers. Little bitch, I made the beat and dropped the full verse. I just hit a steelo, I got dripped up. Package born and raised, bitch, I got dripped up. Y no se compara. Yo estoy con mi pana, se llama Trega, fumando ganja. Estamos con Cali, fumando en Cali, yo sé que traen ganas. Ella me dice, papi, que terminamos la cama. Highest in the room, yeah, we get fucked up. You can count on Trey Cap, bring the loud pack. Get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home run.
Yeah, we got hits like Tatis and Machado. Man, we know you're not a leader, cause all our moves you just follow, packing big bowls. You know we just scooped up that gelato, cause I smoke killer. My shirt iller, yo, ask our dealer, we the highest in the room. Just look up once and you can find us. Our song should have more plays, but we too dope, they rewind us. All my targets lined up, every day my girl get fined up. All my clothes is local, bitch, I rarely rock designer.
Highest in the room, yeah, we get fucked up. You can count on Trey Cap, bring the loud pack. Get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home.